So here I am. So I'm going to try to knock something out at least. Not exactly what I need to do, but well, I guess I do need to do it. I get how do I determine which thing is the most needful at a given moment when broadcasting? Who knows? So let me open this. Oh, the neighborhood dogs are just losing their minds this evening. I do not know why. If you hear them barking their heads off, I've talked to them. I had a meeting. I called all the dogs together and explained to them I do a podcast and it's of great significance because it's about theology, and they didn't care. They basically told me to walk away and nobody will get hurt. That's kind of basically what they told me. Hang on. Our volume is way down. Our volume is. Hang on. Stop. Okay, hang on. My volume is way off, isn't it? Yeah, because I did some editing of some audio. All right, hang on. Let me go to sound. Hang on. Let me go here. Yep, it's all the way off. Let me fix it. Okay, that should be making it much better. We want that's 19%. We want 17%. Let me see if I can get it at 17%. 17%. I apologize for that. See, that's why we test. That's why we do the audio test. That's why I do it. Every time I start thinking, you know what, nobody else does that. Everybody else just goes live. No, I'm going to always test it in the little pre-show thing before we officially go live, because that's how you sometimes catch things. Could you imagine recording that entire thing and then come to find out that the volume was too low? You would have to delete the entire thing. So that's why we test it. All right, hang on. Where is, oh, no, don't use that one. Okay, hang on. Going to Sermonaudio. I'm going to test it here. Go to webcast. All right, there's, a number of people are broadcasting currently on this Thursday evening. Don't use that one. Okay, hang on. We sound okay there. All right. Going to Sermonaudio. Think we sound okay? All right. We'll give it a couple of minutes here and we will get started. Just give it a couple of minutes and I hope this goes well. All right, let me go check this. I do apologize for, I don't know what I'm apologizing for. What am I apologizing? I don't know. I'm just sorry. Okay. All right. You just fill in the blanks. Okay. The host of the Theology Central podcast is a sorry piece of trash. Okay. Whatever. I don't know. I'm apologizing. I don't know what I'm apologizing for. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know why. All right. Are you ready? I think we can do this. I hope so. Let me check the volume one more time. Make sure the settings are set. Yeah, I hate when I open up Audacity. Is it Audacity? Yeah, Audacity. When I use Audacity to edit audio, I hate when I open the app, because as soon as I open the Audacity app, it takes control of the microphone. It turns the volume to 0, but then it turns the microphone on, which is insane because then sometimes the microphone is on and I don't even realize it because I'd been editing audio, and I could be sitting here talking to myself, could be griping and complaining, who knows, throwing things, yelling at the neighborhood dog, who knows what. So, but that's good. I think we're good to go. All right. I think we're set. All right. I guess maybe the map is working. Hang on, I'm going to go check this one more time. I just have to be very cautious here. Make sure everything is working. All right. I guess the map. Okay, I think it's working. I'm just going to go with the idea that everything is working correctly. I would hate for anything to go wrong here, all right? Because it's been all day. Haven't gotten a chance to broadcast. So I just need this to go right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. I think we're going to make this work. I feel like I don't know what I need to make this work, but we'll get this ready to go. Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective, this is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, October the 30th, 2025. It is currently 7:01 p.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio located right here in Abilene, Texas. Now, if you have the Sermonaudio app, please open it right now. And if you can, go to the sermonaudio.com website, sermonaudio.com. I'm going to have you look for something. I don't know if it's available on the app. I know it's available at sermonaudio.com. We're going to look at both. We're going to talk about it because this is another episode, another thrilling episode in this ongoing series that I'm referring to, that I'm calling the Sermonaudio Daily. This series is all about me turning on the microphone and talking about what's going on the Sermonaudio platform. That includes the sermonaudio.com website and the Sermonaudio app. We talk about what's going on, what you should listen to. I just try to help you get the most out of this gigantic library of sermons, Bible studies, devotionals, theological discussions, you name it, special meetings, conferences, revival services. It's all right there under the sermonaudio.com, under sermonaudio.com, the platform, whether it's the website or the app. It's all available to you. It's free for you, and I want you to get the most out of it. Now, what we're going to be looking at today is, I guess we'll call it it's not a new feature. We'll call it a popular feature. This is a feature that comes from the legacy site. Back many years ago on the Sermonaudio website, this was a very popular feature, and they have brought it back to the new website. I don't know if they brought it to the app yet. I'll take a look in just a minute. We're going to talk about it. We're going to listen to the Sermonaudio AI website. They have an artificial intelligence creates a website, an AI podcast. Sermonaudio has its own AI created podcast called the Digital Duo. And well, they talk about this new feature, this old feature brought back. Again, that's called Digital Duo. It's the AI created podcast on the Sermonaudio platform. It's put together by Sermonaudio, but it's all artificial intelligence. We've talked about it before, but you can check that out. I'll tell you all about it in a minute. So I guess what we'll do is we'll get right to the feature itself, and then we'll listen to a little bit of this podcast. It's relatively short, just so that you kind of understand the feature, and then I'll talk about my thoughts about the feature. I used the feature on the legacy site over and over and over again. I have mixed feelings about it, and I'll tell you why, and you can draw your own conclusion. But I do think it can be a useful feature, and we'll talk about why, all right? But if you go to the news section of the Sermonaudio website, if you go to the news section of the Sermonaudio website, if you click on it, it says news, and then the very first story is Top Sermons Reveal Traffic and Trends. Top Sermons Reveal Traffic and Trends. Do you see that? Click on it. And and you'll see immediately there's this little, it's kind of like a screenshot, but it says Top Sermons, right? Has a little graph with an arrow pointing up, right? And then it says past 48 hours, past week, past month, all time. And then it shows you the top sermons, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. It's like the hot Billboard 100 of sermons, right? What's the hottest sermon in the last 48 hours? What's the hottest sermon in the past week? What's the hottest sermon in the past month? And what is the hottest sermon of all time? It's kind of like a music chart, kind of what it was. And on the streaming services, Apple Music, Spotify, I believe a number of them, they have charts for the top pop songs or the top songs in the USA or whatever the chart is. And this is kind of, the sermon chart from sermonaudio.com. Now, if you underneath that kind of picture screenshot, you'll see Top Sermons podcast from the Digital Duo. They did an episode. We're going to listen to some of that. That's the AI generated podcast, which is a pretty cool idea. And it makes it, hey, they can use that. I think that's wonderful because it helps keep people informed about what's going on the Sermonaudio platform. So I'm all for that. I think they should, I don't know if they do that. They probably should mix some of those episodes into the Sermonaudio radio, but I think they may, I don't know. And then it says, attention users. We've recently launched Top Sermons, a popular feature from the legacy site that has been ported to the new site. On a platform hosting millions of sermons, this feature serves as a helpful guide for both first-time visitors and regular listeners alike. It offers a quick and engaging way to explore what others are listening to, providing insight into current listening trends and popular preaching across the site. Now, if you'll look at the sermonaudio.com website, on the left-hand side, you see the menu. You have home, news, my feed, my library, my church. Underneath that, you have sermons, newest videos, staff picks, featured sermons, and there you have it, Top Sermons. You click on it, and look what you have. In the past 48 hours, the number one sermon is from Alpha and Omega Ministries, Dr. James White, The Dividing Line. It's had over 1,400 downloads and streams. Wes Huff Broke the Internet. A review of the 1,300 replies. Now, Wes Huff was invited on a podcast with this kind of debate, and then that thing went absolutely viral, and I guess they're still getting a little bit of traction off that. So that discussion is number one on Sermonaudio right now. Number one. That's number one. Number two, Watch Your Doctrine and Training, Alistair Begg. Now, I do appreciate that Sermonaudio has not deleted Alistair Begg or removed him from his platform. Remember, he answered a question about attending a gay wedding, and he was kicked off a number of Christian radio stations. American Family Radio, I think, booted him. A number of Christian radio stations kicked him off the air. So I'm glad Sermonaudio has allowed him to remain. I'm glad for that. But he's number two. That's pretty awesome. Over 1,050 plays. Number three is Teach Us to Pray, Paul Washer. Now, if you go way back to the early days of Sermonaudio, Paul Washer used to always be, for top sermons, always in the top 10, I think, maybe in the top 5. Paul Washer dominated the sermon charts back in the day. And then number 4, more Dr. James White. In fact, I just messed that up. Number 4, more Eastern Orthodoxy, reaching the new Mormons and a tornado for good measure. All right. So that's Dr. James White. Now he's always been popular on Sermonaudio. Now back in the day, his messages came from Phoenix Reformed Baptist Church, where he taught Sunday school. He was an elder at the Phoenix Reformed Baptist Church. He taught Sunday school, and his messages on church history and other things were very, very popular in Sermonaudio back in the day, usually on the top sermons chart. Then he moved from Phoenix Reformed Baptist Church, and I can't remember the name of the church he's at. Apologia, I think is the name of it, where he moved to there. Then you have Dr. R. Albert Mohler from his weekly podcast, The Briefing. That's number 5. And then you have Vadi Bakum, which is number 6. And then you go back to Dr. Albert Mohler. Then you go back to Alistair Begg. Then you go back to Paul Washer. You go back to James White. You go back to Vadi Bakum. Vadi Bakum, Vadi Bakum, Vadi Bakum, Vadi Bakum, Vadi Bakum, Vadi Bakum, Vadi Bakum. So what you're seeing is that the top sermons, there's not much variety. There's just not. And we can talk about that, right? That's one of the reasons I'm doing the Sermonaudio Daily. It's right there, just shows you that, and this happens even on music streaming services, right? Look at the charts. In many cases, it's the same artist over and over and over. And sometimes you want to scream like, people, there's like 10 billion songs on Spotify. Don't you think you could go listen to something else? Anybody? No. Now, I'm not saying you can't listen to that stuff because it's popular. I'm just saying you want variety. What I would like is that the top sermons be all kinds of different things, right? But it's basically the Paul Washer, James White, Vadi Bakum, and Alistair Begg show. I mean, there's some other things there at the bottom. There's a Charles Haddon Spurgeon sermon. There's Kevin Swanson, which is typically going to be in the top sermon charts. One of the ones that jump out that I was not expecting, I think number 26, you have Faith of Gideon by Grayson H. Frank. All right. So that one is at least somewhat different. Then you're back to Paul Washer. You're back to Kevin Swanson. You do have Adam McManus from 5 Minutes, Worldview in 5 Minutes. And those kind of programs tend to be popular. I do know this from experience. If you'll turn on the microphone and do current events and do like news type programs, current events, you can typically end up in the top sermon category. If you'll cover current events and do news type things, it usually will get you up there. Right? If you do kind of those controversial things, those kind of viral things, talking about other popular ministries and what's wrong with them, or critiquing, if you go after the big ones, because it's all about name recognition, right? Well, Wes Huff, if he's viral, then do a program about Wes Huff, you're guaranteed to capture some of that traffic. So that's just a way to work it. But you can look at it when you get down to number 35. Now you're starting to get to some different ones. There's Dr. Erwin Lutzer from Moody. And let's see, then it's Dr. James White. Dr. James White dominates the chart right now. And then Albert Mohler. But Albert Mohler is his daily commentary on current events. So that dominates the charts. So it's interesting that what dominates the charts is not actual sermons. Right? Dr. James White, those aren't sermons. Those are his daily podcast, right? So let's see how many times Dr. James White's on here. 1, 2, 3. Hang on. Let me see here. 4, 5, 6. Okay, he's on there 6 times, I believe. 6 times. Let's see here. Let's see how many times Albert Mohler's on here with his daily news commentary. 1, 2. Hang on, let me see here. Where is it? 2, 3. So I think 6 for Dr. White, 3 for Albert Mohler. I think that gets us up to 10. All of those are commentaries about, what's going on in the world. Hang on, let's look here what else we have. Then we have, let's see what else we have. We have Kevin Swanson, which is typically dealing with, kind of more commentary. It's a radio broadcast. It's not sermon. He's on here 1, 2. I think he's on here 2 times. Okay, so that's like 12. And then you got that 5-minute worldview that's on here. How many times? Oh, well, you've got Crosstalk America, Called to Take a Bold Stand, which is a radio program, not a sermon. So that's once. And even the Vadi Bakums that are on here, the National Constitution as a Covenant, serving God in the COVID-19 era. I mean, those are very like current event type situations. See here. You've got the 5-minute, the worldview and 5 minutes on here twice. So you can kind of see what dominates. What dominates is much more current event type programming is what's dominating. But that's the thing in 48 hours. The key is just look at the variety. It's not that much. I mean, you have, this is the top 50, and within the top 50, you don't have a lot of variety. That's why I'm trying to get people to go look. When you're on the Sermonaudio website, look deep into the library. You don't have to just go what's on the display. You don't have to just go with what's popular. So the top list is interesting because it shows you trends. It gives you insight in what people are doing. But in some cases, it kind of demonstrates why more discovery tools are needed. Because you can't just have, do you want a giant library where the same, 5 books are being checked out every day? You want someone to go read something different, right? Now, I'm not saying that's bad that people are listening to these individuals. I'm not saying that. Don't misunderstand. I'm just saying that you want it to change constantly, right? You would hope so. So that's the top 50 for the 48 hours. If you go to the past week, you have Paul Washer, and then once again, Dr. James White, Vadi Bakum, Alistair Begg, Vadi Bakum, Dr. James White, Vadi Bakum, Alistair Begg, Dr. James White, Paul Washer. You've got basically the same people. So whether it's in the same, there's a few additions there, but if you go with the past 48 hours or the past week, it's the same names. If we go to the past month, it's Vadi Bakum, Paul Washer, Vadi Bakum, Paul Washer, Dr. James White. Dr. James White, Alistair Begg. You get another name thrown in there, Dr. James White, Alistair Begg, Paul Washer. Oh, there's a MacArthur sermon. All right. Then you have another name thrown in there that's not that at least throws in some, a difference there. You're back to Alistair Begg. You have Ray Comfort. So, that's a pretty common one to be on there. Back to John MacArthur. You have Phil Johnson, which is obviously connected to John MacArthur. You have Dr. James White, Vadi Bakum, Alistair Begg, and then Dr. Albert Mohler. The exact same names. So whether it's 48 hours, whether it's this week, or whether it's this month, it's the exact same names. Now, I'm hoping that over the next couple of weeks, since this feature has just been brought back, we'll get more variety. But it is, at least, if you want to know what's popular on the Sermonaudio website, if you want to know what everyone else is listening to, please open up the sermonaudio.com website, go down to where it says top sermons, and you can look. And then you have the top sermons of all time. You can look. It used to always be Jonathan Edwards. Well, currently it's not. It used to be, back in the day, it was always Jonathan Edwards, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God, that was someone had read, and it stayed number one forever. A lot of times I was kind of like, what is going on? I sometimes was like, is the chart fixed? Okay, but because I'm like, that sermon is like, I don't know how many 100 years old. It's old, and everyone have heard it at least once, or at least read it. But yeah, so. Yeah, Vadi Bakum is number 1. There, Paul Washer is number 2. Oh, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God is number 3, with 227,280 downloads. That's just great. MacArthur, then Dr. James White. You start kind of falling right back into the same names. Some of the same names. But so there's not a lot of variety in the chart. There really isn't. And that's... I don't know. I guess you could look at it from a couple of perspectives. Well, these are the big names, and the big names are only going to get bigger, and they're not. That's the way it works. And the unknown people are going to stay unknown. But I would hope the unknown people can gain some listens and streams, right? You would hope, as a broadcaster, you kind of wish, like, well, how is my content ever going to be found, right? As a broadcaster, you're like, okay, I want my content to be found. So, hey, look, the Sermonaudio Daily, I try not to point you to my content. I think I've only done it one time, and that's only because it related to other things. But the goal is not to point you to my content. I really am trying to help those other broadcasters, because I feel bad. I do feel bad when I'm scrolling through Sermonaudio and I find a sermon that's been there for 2 years and it's got 7 downloads. I'm like, for crying out loud, that church is paying $60 a month and they got 7 downloads? That's horrifying. Like, how much are they paying for those 7 downloads? So I want everyone to get discovered as much as possible, even those I may disagree with, because I at least want their perspectives to be heard. But that's the old feature that's made new again. Now I'm going to open up the Sermonaudio app. If I open up the Sermonaudio app, if I go to Discover, and they do not have it. They do not have it. So the top sermon feature is not there yet. Hang on. That's popular categories. No. Yeah. I don't know where it would be. Hang on. Let me see here. Newest, staff picks. No, they don't have it here. If they do, I apologize, but I do not see it. So if you want to see the top sermons, you got to go to sermonaudio.com. You'll see the top sermons, and then you can make your own determination what you think about it. What you think about it. On some ways, it's kind of, it feels like here's the Taylor Swifts of sermons, right? Here's the popular artist of preaching. It kind of feels weird, but at the same time, I do understand it's valuable because it allows you to, you don't know what to listen to. Well, let's just see what's popular today. Boom, I'm going to click on the number 1. And which will only make it more popular, but hey, it's an easy way for you to find something. You don't know what to listen to? Go to top sermons, scroll down, I'm going to go to number 50. I'm going to click number 50 today. So I like that, and it lets you know what people are listening to. What are people at a given month? Are they listening to more sermons, or are they listening to more podcasts or current events? Are they more biblically minded, or are they more current event minded? Now, I'm not saying whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. The Sermonaudio Daily is not me to offer critique. It's just trying to process what's going on the Sermonaudio website. I've had my own struggles with that. I got caught up in doing nothing but current events, and I think it was ultimately detrimental for me in the long run. But you can draw your own determination of what you think. Vadi Bakum right now is obviously very, very popular on the website. Obviously very popular. And we'll see, does that change in November? I don't know. You can look at what the top sermons are, and I think it's something interesting to watch, and you can extrapolate whatever you think it possibly indicates or means. And we could probably have different opinions on what the information means. So check it out. Go to sermonaudio.com. Look over on the, have the app open if I can speak correctly. Let me go back to the website. Yeah, just on the left-hand side of the page, home, news, my feed, my library, my church, sermons, newest videos, staff picks, feature sermons, and then top sermons. Click on that. So that's kind of what I really want to talk about today for this episode of the Sermonaudio Daily. But I promised you would listen to the AI-generated podcast that Sermonaudio has. It's called, the episode is called Top Sermons Podcast from the Digital Duo. Just look them up on Sermonaudio. You can find it. It's an AI-generated podcast, and it sounds like this.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're jumping right into some pretty interesting digital news today. It's about major feature launch on Sermonaudio, the platform managing that huge digital archive of conservative religious content. And our mission, like always, is pretty straightforward, but I think important. We're looking at this new feature, and pulling out the strategic insights right away. What's it telling us about how people listen today?
User behavior, content discovery, basically the trends shaping how listeners engage with faith-based stuff online. We want the patterns behind the announcement.
Yeah, and to really get the strategy, you first have to understand just how big this platform is. Sermonaudio, founded by Stephen Lee, was initially about giving, quote, faithful churches a larger voice on the internet.
Yeah.
But it's just grown incredibly fast since then. Now it's called the largest and most trusted library with millions of free audio and video sermons. Think conservative churches, ministries worldwide. It's a massive library, so any feature that helps you find things is, well, absolutely critical. Right. And the big news we're digging into today is from October 29, 2025. They formally launched the Top Sermons feature on the new site. But the sources point out this isn't totally new, is it? It's something they brought over from the legacy site.
Exactly. And bringing back top sermons is really telling from a strategic point of view. When a platform this huge decides to prioritize that specific feature for the relaunch, well, it confirms that popularity is maybe the best way to lower the barrier for new users. Imagine you're a first-time visitor, millions of sermons. Where do you start? The top sermons list becomes this instant, helpful guide. It's a key engagement tool, pushing traffic based on what the community seems to like.
I think it might be even more than just helpful, though. Isn't this the platform kind of leaning into the wisdom of the crowd? I mean, with a library that big, you can't really have humans picking everything, right? Traditional curation just doesn't scale. So by bringing this back, they're sort of outsourcing editorial judgment to the listeners themselves. It gives, like the source says, valuable insight into what's resonating and shows those immediate trends. It suggests that community choice is now a major way people discover content, maybe just as much as topic or speaker.
Now, I'm a little offended. Hey, human curation just doesn't work. It just doesn't scale. What do you think I'm trying to do here in the Sermonaudio Daily? This is all about human curation. It's about me saying, hey, I'm going to curate a list or I'm going to tell you to go check this out or check this out. Maybe it doesn't scale. Maybe it doesn't work. But do we just go with, well, let the community decide what's popular is what we listen to? I'm so torn with that, right? I do understand it's a great place to start. Oh man, there's this Sermonaudio website. I don't even know where to begin. Here's the top sermons. Let me start with these guys. Now, that means those guys will continue to be the top ones because that's what people are going to click on. I get that. But there's got to be a way, there's got to be other ways to curate list and content suggestions done by humans, not just by the crowd. Well, the crowd says this is the person to listen to. When it comes to preaching and teaching, I don't know if we want to go with the majority decides, do we? I mean, I guess it's a good place to start. I don't know. I just imagine if we go with the ones who are popular, well, this is what we have to watch. Are the ones that are popular in October, are they going to be the ones that are popular in December? Is it the same people in January? Is it the same people in February? Is it this? And if we just go on into 2026 and it's just the top sermon list is just a list of the exact same people week after week after week after week after week after week after week, then does the list even become valuable? It's just like all you got to do is just go in, pick Vadi Bakum, Dr. James White, Alistair Begg. Let's see, what's the other name? Hang on. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. Oh, hang on. Give me a second. Oh, he does the briefing. What's his name? Why am I forgetting his name? Albert Mohler. Just pick a couple of those names, Paul Washer, and just follow them. And then you'll get your content in your feed. You don't even need to look at the top sermon list, right? But I guess if it's the top sermons, it may be an older sermon that's resonating with everybody. I guess it could still be valuable in that sense because it could be pulling up stuff from the library. It could be I wonder if it's that's something to watch. When it's Dr. James White, when it's Albert Mohler, when it's Paul Washer, when it's Alistair Begg, is that new sermons that have been uploaded or is that old stuff that people are finding? See, that would be interesting to watch as well. I guess we could do a little search on that. So I just don't know. Hey, this is what's popular. This is what we listen to. I don't know. When a sermon is popular, what does that say? When a sermon is not popular, what does that say? Do we judge sermons on the basis of popularity? That's always the inevitable possible question when you're charting, when you have a chart. So I don't know. I just know that, hey, guys, hey, I know you're AI, Mr. and Mrs. AI of the digital duo. Don't say human curation just can't work. That's what I've been dedicating this entire program to. Me and digital duo, we're throwing down with pay-per-view on Sunday, me versus the digital duo, and I will show them that human curation is better than, well, the crowd curation. I don't know. Right? I guess that's still human curation, right? Maybe we need AI to do a curated list. Maybe we have AI's top picks for the week and AI just picks randomly. I don't know. Maybe AI will be better than all of us.
Okay, so let's unpack that crowd wisdom a bit. If you're measuring popularity, you need, well, metrics. The source material says the Top Sermons feature tracks the most downloaded sermons, and crucially, it covers both audio and video.
That dual tracking, audio and video, is super significant. It suggests people aren't just passively listening. If video versions are consistently popular, users are actively choosing a richer, more bandwidth-heavy experience. They might want the visual cues, the speaker's presence. It's not just background noise like digital radio. It points to deeper engagement. Plus, the different time frames they offer. That's where the real strategic value comes in. This isn't just one big popular list. It offers 4 different ways to look at consumption, and each reflects a different kind of user interest.
Okay, walk us through those 4 slices, because each one probably reveals something different about public interest.
Totally. So first, you have the past 48 hours, super immediate. This shows that kind of fleeting, real-time buzz, maybe something tied to a news event right now. It's very reactive data. Then you zoom out a bit to the past week. This indicates more short-term momentum. It kind of filters out the one-off spike and highlights sermons that have genuinely caught on for a few days, real initial relevance.
And then moving out to the past month. That feels different again. That's got to be showing more sustained interest, right? It's not just a quick trend. It's content with maybe broader appeal that holds attention longer. That sounds like a sign of a really successful message.
Exactly right. And then finally, there's the of all time ranking. This one's gold because it cuts through all the current noise. It shows you the historical heavy hitters. These are the foundational sermons, maybe the core theology, or just incredibly effective talks that keep drawing people in year after year. And the shorter time frames, they let you see what's currently trending upward or downward, linking that real-time data right back to the public conversation.
That real-time data is powerful. But, like you said, popularity can be fleeting. A sermon hits number 1 for 48 hours, then maybe drops off. So how does the platform make sure that a temporary spike can still translate into some kind of lasting recognition?
This is where the honor system comes in. And I think it's quite clever strategically. It tackles that exact problem-making status stick. Sermons that hit the top sermons lists don't just show up there temporarily. They also get these corresponding honors displayed right on their individual sermon pages. You can almost think of them like digital badges or maybe trading cards for sermons. It elevates the data. It's not just a number anymore. It's history. These honors act as historical markers or badges of distinction. They showcase the sermon's achievement over time, giving that crucial historical context for its success.
Right, that distinction moving from just temporary data to something permanent on the page that builds credibility for the content itself.
I don't know if it builds credibility. I used to remember, especially for a small church in the middle of nowhere, Texas, right? When we would get one of our messages would hit the top sermon list, and I've had many over the years in the past who did. I could go to the church and say, hey, guys, look around. We're in this broken down building in the middle of nowhere, Texas, but this sermon just hit the top sermon status. And if you go look at the page right now, we have the little star, we have the little indicator that we hit the top sermon. That's very encouraging for a little small church in the middle of nowhere. It encourages the people to continue to support the online ministry. And it's just encouraging. When you're a little church in the middle of nowhere and you got 5 people looking at you on a Wednesday night, maybe even a Sunday morning, but then you go check your analytics and you're like, whoa, we hit the top sermon list. That encourages you to keep going. So that's always. I used to love the fact that Dr. James White, when he was a part of Phoenix Reformed Baptist Church, that was a small little church. I had people from my church here in Texas go all the way to Phoenix, Arizona to visit. And they visited and they came back and they were like, Dr. James White teaches Sunday school here? You know that your church is bigger than their church? And I'm like, I had no idea. They're like, it's crazy. Our church is bigger than that church. But yet they're dominating all. That's an awesome thing to see a small church succeeding that way by reaching people around the world, not just people right in front of you, which shows the power of online ministry at times. So I do love when you get that honor, but at the same time, you got to be careful because you can also become like, look, I had the top sermon. I had one of the top, I made it to the top 50. That can also become a source of human pride as well. That's not a problem of the chart. That's not a problem of having this feature. That's a problem of the pastor and our own heart, our own self-worth, trying to find self-worth based off numbers. But the top sermon whole structure is still there to help you find content. So that's a good thing. I don't know. I mean, currently, whether it's the past 48 hours, the past week, or the past month, it's basically all three are the same. So I don't know if it's showing me some interesting trends. Maybe over time it will. Currently, it looks like basically the same names. So it is become, at this moment, it just really serves as, here are the popular people. Here, that's the table of the popular preachers. No, sir, you have to go sit at that table. You're the unpopular. You're one of the unpopular kids. Okay, you go sit over there. Those are the popular people. Okay, I know it's not intended to be that way, but right now that's what it looks like. It is a list of the popular ones, but hopefully over time it will show more interesting trends and variety. And you as the listener, you get to choose. If you want the popular ones, you now have an easy way to access them quickly. And some of you, that's what you will prefer, and that's perfectly okay. Your listening habits are your listening habits. I'm not here, but I would challenge you at some time. I mean, I've always been this way, right? I mean, I've told the story before, everyone knows how much I love music. So on New Music Day, I would always find myself at the record store, and I always told you how I operated, right? I would go through, right? And at least one album that I purchased every single time I went to the record store. This is on the times when I could purchase more than one album. But if I could purchase more than one album, one of those albums, it was a rule, had to be something I'd never heard of. I didn't know anything about. I just went going through the stacks of records, right? Or CDs, whatever the era it was, going through. I'm like, I've never heard of this, don't know anything about it. I'm going to purchase it because I wanted to discover new music. I wanted to broaden my horizons. I didn't want to just go in going, I know what's popular. This artist. I'm just going to get one of the popular things. Now, sometimes I purchase the popular things, but I always wanted to try to expand my horizons. So the popular ones are great. Don't forget, there are millions of sermons there waiting for you to discover. And I'm going to do my best with the Sermonaudio Daily to help you find some of the not so popular ones. Maybe they need a list, top sermons, and then maybe they need a list of the least popular, not top sermons list, right? I don't know. Some pastors may be offended being on that list. I would be more than happy to be on that list, right? Because someone there would be another way of finding my content. Here are the most least popular sermons in the last 48 hours. This is the list that has only 5 downloads or 10 downloads. Or I wonder if that would work. I don't know if churches would get offended by that. I wonder how people would respond. Would they click on that list and be likely to listen to what do you think people would do? Go to the top sermons or the least popular sermons? Which list do you think they would go to? I think they will be drawn to the popular ones and not listen to the least popular ones because the assumption will be that sermon's only got 5 downloads. It's probably a reason. It's trash. That one's got 1,500, has to be good. Now, I wonder if the ones with the 1,500, is it because of the quality of the content or is it because of the quality of the presentation? Does popular preaching, does it indicate quality content or does it indicate quality presentation, quality enunciation, quality of speaking, timing, pausing? Yeah. Is it more about presentation? It would be interesting for just like a social experiment. Here are the least popular sermons. And where do people go first? I think they're going to the popular ones. I think they would. Meaning the popular will get more popular and the least popular will stay. No, see, that's why I think you need some other kind of curation. All right, let me finish listening to Digital Duo and then we'll wrap this up.
A verified track record. And the source material gives some clear examples of how this looks. Like you might click on a sermon and see a badge saying #1 top played audio week. Tells you its peak moment. Or maybe #5 top played video.
No. Exactly. And those aren't just vanity things. They function as credibility signals baked right into the sermon's page. It's a pretty simple, but I think meaningful way to flag content that has, quote, resonated deeply with listeners over time.
I don't like their credibility idea. Because a sermon has top sermon, that means it's more credible than the sermon that has 10? Isn't the credibility of a sermon determined by its faithfulness to the text, not by the fact that it's got top sermon honors? Is that a credibility issue? It's got credibility baked in because it says top sermon. Hey, that makes it more credible than the one that's got 10. I'm not so sure about that.
For someone new browsing, if they see, I don't know, that sermon on John 3, verse 16 has a permanent top 5 honor from last year, that immediately signals its quality and widespread appeal.
So thinking about you, the listener, the learner.
Does it signify quality or does it signify popularity? Popularity and quality are two different things. Joel Osteen is popular. I would not in any way, shape, or form say his sermons are quality. Joyce Meyer has been popular. I would not say that's quality. I don't know if popularity equals quality. I don't like the insinuation there in any way, shape, or form. Hey, this sermon is top 5. It's on John 3:16. It's in the top 5. Here's a sermon on John 3:16. It's got 7 people. Go with the popular one, Johnny. Because it's obviously resonates more. Or I see. I'm not. That's the only thing I don't like about this.
Who needs to get up to speed quickly.
Yeah.
This feature is like a huge shortcut through the noise. It adds that layer of social proof right when you're deciding what to listen to. It acts as a great starting point for new visitors looking to discover impactful preaching, and it gives regular users a dynamic way to explore beyond what they already know.
And what's neat is how this data-driven popularity filter sits right on top of Sermonaudio's existing very detailed structure. I mean, they didn't just throw millions of files online randomly. The platform already organizes sermons meticulously. You could already search by scripture, by category, by topic, by language, by date. I mean, the list goes on. Sitemap, hymnal, daily devotional, it's incredibly organized. But this top sermons feature adds the layer they were arguably missing, that real-time, community-driven view of what's hot now. So you can combine that deep, structured search with proven popularity. It just makes finding relevant content so much easier and faster.
So if we pull back for the big picture view, the launch of top sermons, especially bringing it back from the legacy site, it signals a real shift, doesn't it? It feels like a strategic move towards user-driven discovery. It acknowledges that, in this age of endless information, trust signals and popularity metrics might be just as important for discovery as the sheer size of the archive. They seem to have blended that historical stability, the all-time lists and honors, with the very current trending data. It makes this massive library feel instantly more navigable and relevant. Thank you for joining us for another deep dive with the Digital Duo.
Well, there you have it. Top sermons. It's new, but it's not really new. It's back on the sermonaudio.com website. It's on the left. It's right underneath featured sermons, top sermons. Remember, featured sermons are those people pay to have featured, right? So featured sermons, that's a good way to look at, these are the ministries who are paying money to have theirs featured, okay? So you can determine whether, how you feel about that. They usually get a lot of downloads. Sometimes if you look at a featured sermon, it used to be always in the top sermon list for the 48 hours because it's the first thing you see when you come to the homepage, the featured sermon. So typically that featured sermon, paying that money would get you at least in the top sermons for 48 hours. So, and then underneath that, the top sermon list, you can determine how you feel about it, whether you like it, but don't draw a conclusion until you've watched it for about a month. So you can see how it's moving and how it's measuring and what's going on. And we'll see how it plays out and what it does. The main thing is it's another way to help you discover content. So in that, I applaud it, right? Because I want people to find content. Just remember though, those top sermons are wonderful, but they can, if you're not careful, they will keep you from ever finding, I'll just call it the unpopular stuff, the stuff that's not getting any notice, the stuff there's no buzz, they don't have a name recognition, they're not popular. Try to find that stuff too. Mix your listening with the popular stuff, with doing deep dives, looking for something that's just, not readily accessible. And I will, just so that you know, for the Sermonaudio Daily, I sometimes may pick the top 5 top sermons and just pick those for the day. I'm not going to say don't look at the top sermons. I'm not going to tell you not to listen to the top sermons, because you should be checking everything out. Popular, kind of popular, unpopular, known, kind of known, completely unknown, right? Very accessible to, wait, what is that? That seems way off the beaten path. Check that out as well, all right? So I want you to see everything. So top sermons is what's popular, and you can determine how you feel about that, right? Don't let it, this is what I would say, don't let popularity stop you from listening, but do not let being unpopular keep you from listening. The key is listen to all kinds of different things and determine and will benefit from all of it. Whether you agree or disagree, you can benefit from it. All right, that's this episode of the Sermonaudio Daily. This one went long, 44 minutes. I'm sorry, but hey, I wanted to ensure that I got something done today. Today's not been one of those days that's been broadcast friendly today. But hey, it's there. Enjoy, and hopefully you'll find good content. And now check out the top sermons, and we'll see what shows up and what doesn't show up, and we'll just look. And I'm going to be looking for that list for those that I'm like, wait, who's that? I don't know who that is. Ooh, they made it to number 50. All right, let's look at that one, right? And those other ones, I mean, do I need to? I'm not saying I would not recommend Dr. James White or Albert Mohler, because there's times I will point to that content, but it's not like they don't need my help. The Sermonaudio Daily is not going to be much help to them. They already get plenty of downloads and recognition. But if they show up in one of my lists, then that's great, because it doesn't matter popular or unpopular. Sermonaudio Daily is for all the content on Sermonaudio, whether I agree or disagree with it, all right? So check out the Sermonaudio website. I hope they get the top sermon feature on the app. I hope they do. I'll have to reach out to someone going, hey, that top sermon feature, get it on the app. Get it on the app, all right? Because I wonder if they could do that for each broadcasting page. Like if you type in Theology Central and you go to my page on Sermonaudio, wouldn't it be cool if they had a little menu going, the top sermons for that broadcaster for the last 48 hours? I'm not saying they have to do one for 48 hours, week, month, or all the time, but it would allow someone, when they go to Theology Central, to the Theology Central page on Sermonaudio, they could be like, oh, here's the popular sermons in the last 48 hours. I wonder if they do that. I don't know. I'm just now brainstorming. All right, everyone have a great evening. God bless.